Welcome to Season 2 of Survey Program and the Chapter 5 era. This is a full spoiler episode for Chapter 5. We've got new music for official show musician Highwell for this season. You can check out their Bandcamp for links to their music. You can support the show at groupaschrike.net, including getting access to our bonus episodes at Green Room. You can join the Discord at the link in the description, or subscribe on YouTube. We're close to 1,000 subscribers. Let's get started with Season 2. Distinguished. Flower Man, 6'20", made of radiation.
Flower Man. His dick is huge. That's the end of the song.
Whoa, I'm getting crazy interference.
Oh, hold on a second. That's my phone.
It's
so
Gaster.
If I keep my phone by my desk, for some reason, it fucks with my webcam mic for some reason.
That's crazy. It's like, remember GSM buzz? Like when you used to get a phone call, it would like make the radio do a weird thing.
Yeah. I keep getting told I sound like a number station, which is very gender affirming for me.
Yeah.
But I don't know why it happens.
We live in a world it was actually really pleasing to hear some sort of distortion, because I feel like we live in a world that's so insulated from like weird analog distortion effects these days. We don't have any of that.
Yeah.
We don't have any of that fuzz anymore. We don't have any sort of reminder of the physicality of our communications infrastructure.
Well, I went to the Tate Modern recently, and they had this amazing sculpture. It's one of the best things I've seen in my goddamn life, called Babel. And it was this mountain, like, tall tower of radios from all different eras. Here, I'll show you a picture. They were all playing different frequencies, and you could hear some radios playing like normal, some playing like static and feedback. Borderline spiritual experience to be in the room with.
That's fucking awesome. That's incredible.
It's so everything. They had a rough go in this one when I went and saw this as well, so it was just a real emotional time. Also, the Chump's Fountain.
Tell me more about this. We're talking about art. Fuck you, Deltarune fans.
Fuck you, Deltarune fans. It's time to talk about art. It's so that we can talk about Mad Media, the Toby Fox's masterpiece, Mad Media.
That's right. Yeah. So this is Survey Program Season 2. Welcome to the second season. We are.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. It's so good to have you. But we are. We've got episodes planned out for the next few weeks, so I'm super excited to get into everything. This one is definitely not a fully thought out analysis. This is just Elsie and me just sitting down and reacting, basically. This is recorded on Friday, June 26th, so this is only 2 days after the game came out. Sorry, it's a busy weekend. It's Pride here in Seattle this weekend, so I'm going to Pride events today, tomorrow, and Sunday. So I'm having to record a little early here. Not only is it Pride, but we're hosting the World Cup. So a little bit of a busy week with Deltarune coming out and all of this shit going on. But that's 2 straight years where Toby's released chapters of Deltarune during Pride, because it's a fucking gay ass video game.
It's so, oh my god, man, especially this one.
Yeah, it's true.
With our new characters.
Our new characters, the 7 flower faggots.
And what faggots they are! Oh my goodness!
It's the Deltarune podcast where we say faggot the most, for sure. All right, let's start from the top though. I think the best way to do this is just sort of play by play this, just to get our initial reactions in order. So start from the top. Chris has been out all night. First thing you see. Also, they look really, really bad. They're fucking crazy green. They look like they're rotting at the start. And
yeah, notably, they look like they've lost the red channel from their color.
Yeah,
which is what looked like to me. Which is great for all of us who have been feeling like Chris needs that thing to survive.
Yeah, I think
'cause
it's
it seems like
very
it's the
clear now
case.
that Chris needs the soul to survive, which I was always assuming anyway. Um,
Hmm.
and it does raise the question of it raises the continued question of what was Chris doing prior to our connection being established by the survey program, not the podcast, the Gaster's program, but the like what was Chris doing prior to our connection being established, right? And I mean, because we've already said this before, but like Chris has, the birdcage is an extant thing. Chris was pretending to tear their soul out and chase Noelle around as a child, as was established in chapter 4. So there's some sort of long-standing relationship between Chris and the soul, which we're also gonna, which I've just realized saying this out loud is gonna feed into my agenda to talk about next week with Valerie as well. But also just like Chris was out all night, and so first off, that does answer the question. One of the big ambiguous things, we had a phone call right before chapter 6 came out. You and I, Elsie, we talked a little bit about our expectations and hopes for the chapter, and one of the things I was talking about was, chapter 5. This was chapter 5. I'm stupid. This is not chapter 6. Chapter 5. Chapter 4 ended with an ambiguous, does Chris go after Susie or does Chris stay in because of the beckoning of the phone call? It seems like Chris went out, but we don't really know. And certainly Chris wasn't out with Susie all night because Susie slept in the dark world and Chris can't go into the dark world without the soul. So what the fuck was Chris doing all night?
Yeah, because we know Chris obviously wasn't making the dark world because that
It wasn't made
happens
yet.
in front of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was happening? It's a really interesting thing to consider because we already are kind of kept in the dark about exactly what Chris is doing, right? Like we still don't know Chris made the fountain in the library. We kind of have just assumed that because we have to assume that that's the case. But even then, Chris was up to other non-fountain related stuff like cutting the tires of the truck.
Oh, I would say the library,
So
library dark world is very clearly the night, especially now.
yeah, I mean, it seems like with the closet nearby, the fitting a large person thing, but it does sort of raise the question as to why do we even need Chris to be opening these fountains, right? Like, if Chris isn't opening, because obviously it seems like Chris is at least set up or framed to have been opening the fountain in this chapter. But we're starting to get a little bit of ambiguity towards who's even setting these up. What is actually happening here? What's the dynamic happening here? Is Chris setting these up for the night? Is the night doing them?
Like I think it's pretty obvious with the hinting. I mean, once we get into the dark world, that that Chris is unequivocally the one who opened this dark fountain. At least the first one of the two. And I don't know. We're still, here's the thing. If you were coming into chapter 5 hoping for an unraveling of exactly what the conspiracy is and what the plan is, we don't have that yet. I think what we do have a lot of clarifications as to who's on the ins and who's on the outs that we'll get into over the course of this episode and, talk about. For one thing, it's much clearer to me at least that Asgore and almost certainly Carol are not like in on it with the night. I think it's much clearer that they're working at cross purposes, and are much more in the dark than you previously might have assumed. I think probably we should have seen this coming because both Asgore and Carol have conspiracy boards, and those don't indicate that you know everything. Those indicate that you're trying to figure shit out.
Yeah, and it seems like to me like. Because obviously Asgore has an emotional reason for wanting to figure this out, and it maybe seems like Carol also has potentially some sort of emotional reason for working this out.
Yeah.
I mean, I find it difficult to believe that this comes down to some sort of material reason. Like Carol is trying to take over the world with the dark world. That doesn't really make any sense. I mean, we can speculate that it's likely to do with deaths, or the like, but. That would be speculation right now.
Yep. And so anyway, so that was my, obviously my first thought is what the fuck was Chris doing all night? Anyway, so you get the soul back. Chris stops looking quite so dead. You come downstairs, you see hungover Toriel. You get the chance to either feed her a honey toast or leave her to wither away.
the like cutest sprite of
She's
Toriel
so
ever made.
cute. She's
With two
so
evil
cute.
eyes.
We went over this already on our Toriel and Carol episode. Let the woman have a little bit of fun. She doesn't.
Let her.
Okay, she doesn't know that her child's going through fucking giga supernatural hell. She's been deliberately kept in the dark from this.
Yeah, it's I. We don't have to like rehash all of this, but Toriel deserves to have a bit of fun. She's a single teacher, single mother teacher. Like, well, like, Asgore brings up, like, the idea that Toriel wasn't going to be able to support this family on his single teacher salary. It's like a legitimate concern. My mother's was a single mother who was a teacher. It's a difficult life. But obviously, Asgore is employing that towards a bit of a slightly obsessive end.
Yeah.
Let Toriel have some fun. Let Toriel drink all the ketchup in the fridge with Sans.
Yeah. And this is and then so you leave, you head to the dark world to see Susie. Susie was sleeping in your bed. Aw. And
it's so cute.
Yes.
I curious that she sleeps there now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sleeping there.
I mean, and it's interesting because she even acknowledges out loud that what she's actually doing is sleeping on the floor of a closet, right? Like,
yeah.
And so it's obviously sweet, right? It's nice to see Susie surrounded by all these, all the people in Castletown, and all the people that care for her in Castletown, and it's sweet and it's cute, and there's so many adorable interactions. And you get a return to the vessel maker / thrash machine maker interface to make an outfit for Susie, which is an interesting recurrence. I don't know what it means yet. I think we're still, again, the point of this episode is not to have a unified theory of everything yet, but it's, what do you think about the fact that, I mean, I've always held that the thrash machine is intended to be like a thematic echo, because it's obviously a mechanical echo of the vessel. But I'm like, what does it mean that it's recurring again for this?
No, that's basically what I was thinking. Like, we're getting another sort of repetition of the idea of your choices not really mattering, sort of directly presented in front of you. Like, you're immediately presented with the fact of choosing something, and then all of that just being discarded.
Yeah.
But, like, this time it's not even out of, like, malice or anything, or out of, like, it's literally just Susie's like, I don't want those choices.
Yeah.
Which is, I feel like it's another perspective.
Well, and also, it doesn't matter what outfit you make in the dark world. It's all trash in the light world anyway. And the fact that...
It's all trash,
The fact that Susie lost sight of that is another example of, it's like, she's getting a little lost in the sauce, dark world-wise, right?
Yeah, she is. It's... it's, bringing up the where she's sleeping. Just gonna jump ahead and jump back after. Notably later on, when Chris and Asgore, or at least I think someone talks to Chris, I think it's Flowery talks to Chris about some family issues. Susie says something like, I didn't realize you had a bad family too, or something like that.
Yeah.
Which I think we sort of gathered that Susie had some family issues.
I think it's like, it's something like,
now.
It's like something about Toriel. This is also I'm so nerfed because I don't have the text dump yet. The Deltarune text dump site doesn't update until Wednesday, and so I'm flying without the ability to quickly control F dialogue. But I think it's when you try to backtrack with Susie up to see Toriel. I think she talks about it there.
Yes. Yeah, she says something like she just sort of asked to avoid your house, or to avoid. I think she says that she notices Toriel's watering the flowers, and she asks to just avoid her for now.
Yeah.
It's really clear that Susie's seeing Toriel like that messed her up, but it seems like Toriel said something to Susie specifically while she was drunk.
I don't know. I don't know. It just seems like being around a drunk person really bothered Susie, which that combined with not wanting to go to her actual home is, I think that communicates a lot that is unsaid, but pretty clear to me about whatever is going on with Susie's parents.
Yeah, poor girl.
Yeah, and there's a lot of great Dark World scenes. I mean, Queen's fucking hilarious. There's a new Task Manager outfit, which I'm sure everybody's really enjoying. Her dressed as a nun.
Yeah, I went on
Dingus.
right after, and there were already 4 results for Task Manager None, which is amazing, guys. We're doing really good at this.
This is another
No, yeah.
example of when I have to decide in the edit room what kind of podcast this is. There's a choice before me about whether I leave that in or not. And I think it's gonna be not. I think it's not that podcast.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. Yeah, that's okay. We don't have to talk about Task Manager None.
Dingus.
We have another subject actually in this, which actually to sort of expertly transition into this part. One of the funniest fucking moments is the new basketball court in Tanner's room, and that's I say this one, the Chris Darling, honey, not now, mummy is dunking the court, is one of the funniest
it's so good. It's so good. I'm so glad we got more Queen. Okay,
yeah.
I want to be mindful of the fact that we're about a quarter of the way through this episode and we haven't gotten through the initial fucking Castletown scene yet. So we gotta move. We gotta move. We can't cover everything. That's why we're doing weekly episodes. We're gonna be diving into everything over the course. But anyway, you go to the festival. Shocking. There's a ton of interactivity in the festival. There's like at least 3 different ways that just about every interactive scene can go. Even the balloting, there's like 7 minutes of like different dialogue that you could do with the different ballots that you choose. And there's
your choices don't matter.
Your choices don't matter. Well, it's interesting. Your choices don't matter because the date goes the same way no matter what you do, right? But there are some little things that can go differently. I mean, if you tell, it's like there's a surprising amount of dialogue interactivity. Like if you tell Birdley that Noelle and like if Birdley learns that Noelle and Susie are on a date, then Birdley doesn't try to flirt with them anymore during the balloting scene. Like it sort of depends on the order that you do. And if you vote for Chris and Noelle first, Noelle has a childhood memory of them voting for each other when they were really little, and then gets reminiscent and will ride the Ferris wheel with Chris, which previously she wouldn't if you didn't do that first. And so there's a lot of little tiny bits of interactivity there, and they all set save file flags, and so this could be another example of something where it comes, later on. And it's also when you're and here's the thing, this is the thing that stopped me in my tracks. I had to put I literally put the game down and went to pace for a second when you're getting ice cream and Sans has you fill out the punch card.
Yeah.
And Susie draws your friends. And it's the punch card that's in Sans' room in Undertale with Don't Forget on it. And we already pretty much knew that Sans was from Deltarune, and we still don't know how or what that means, but it's just a gut punch to see that moment.
And I don't want to talk too much about the weird route, because I think that's a bit out of the scope of this episode, but in the weird route, this also happens. It's that Sans draws you, Susie, and Rouse.
Yeah.
Well, not Sans, sorry. Susie draws you, Susie, and Rouse instead of you, Susie, and Noelle.
Yeah.
Which is fucking... I don't even know how to consider that.
Yeah, and it's like, and there can be, it's interesting because you could also, Susie can also, if you had the dialogue with Ralse saying that he wants to buy an ice cream, for Susie, right? But he can't be there, then Susie will draw Ralse as well. So there could be 4 people on the card, which is interesting because there's only 3 in Undertale. There can be 3 or 4 people on the card depending on your choices, and it can be either and Ralse and Noelle. And so there's some stuff there. Rudy's out of the hospital inadvisably high up on a ladder
with the most amount of death flags possible.
Yeah, man coughing on the top while balancing precariously on the top of a ladder will probably be fine.
It'll be fine. Don't worry about
it. And then you get the date. It's sickeningly sweet. It's adorable, and it's also really kind of quite sad because Chris is third wheeling the whole time. And I think really one of the things that seems to come through about this chapter, I mean, just looking at the ending, it doesn't seem like Chris is actually really that happy about what's going on here.
Yeah, like it's pretty clear that even though Chris's personal motivations are still somewhat vague, it's pretty clear that Chris genuinely cares for for Susie. Like genuinely, like, has some sort of connection there. And it doesn't seem like, Chris is super ecstatic about again, I'm not going to don't want to jump ahead too much, but having to tell people or having to share this with Noelle. It's which makes sense if we think about Chris as, just a person in this world rather than like a hero or a character.
Yeah. And it's just like, I don't know, it's I don't know, it's really tough, and it I don't know. I mean, Chris is still carrying around so much guilt and so much, I don't know, it just feels like the conflict between what they're doing with or for the night and what they're doing with Susie, and like both sides of this are falling apart, and it just feels like they can't keep it all together, and it's really tough to see. I do want to talk about one more festival thing before we move on, which is fucking Gaster's Ghastly Goons killed and ate Onion. This is the most important takeaway. Yeah. Onion's fucking dead. All of the Gaster followers are all gathered in one corner talking about fun values, talking about fucking gold from Undertale, fucking sharing takoyaki balls made out of onion. It's so fucked, dude.
It's fucked. It's fucked. So for as a reminder for those who haven't been following the secret saga of Onion San, Onion San was supposed to tell us on this day what was in the lake, what was deep in the lake.
Yeah. But he disappeared.
If you recall, he disappeared. In fact, actually, because if you recall, he was supposed to show up in Chapter 4, but instead, in Chapter 4, the librarian NPC is standing there and gives us the more of that broken dialogue that's trying to seemingly communicate to us with something using the words of the sentence they're programmed with. And now, Onion San is seemingly Takoyaki.
Yep.
And they're trying to sell it to us for 2 gold, which doesn't exist.
That's that's the fucking currency in Undertale, you fucker. So that's weird. Anyway, you go. So Noelle learns that Rudy has fallen down, which we don't know whether that's the Undertale meaning of fallen down or he's literally fallen off of the ladder. Just a quick note here, since recording, we learned that in the Japanese translation, it uses a different term for fallen down than is used for fallen down in Undertale, the concept of monsters dying. Either way, it's bad. And so she has to go. Noelle gets back with ice cream, and Susie gets back with ice cream, and you go to the as you go past the flower shop, Chris opens the dark world in there, and you get dragged into the adventure. And Asgore's in there, and so it's all proceeding, I think, as we expected. And then you walk forward, and you are met with a full motion video anime intro of fucking flowery.
Okay, so we need to talk about this. Asgore is so gay.
Asgore is so gay. Chris got home last night, saw somebody romancing their mom, and was like, it can't possibly get worse than this, right? And then they open a fucking dark world, and the final boss is fucking their dad. It's so rough.
It's like, and I really like the theme of this. I think anybody who's had divorced parents, I think, can kind of understand a lot of Chris's struggles throughout Deltarune. But I think this one in particular, the sort of like conflict between Asgore about having a life that he feels good about in the moment and what he actually values in his life are and these being 2 different kind of forms of love that he's competed, that he has a sort of internal conflict over. Very good.
Yeah.
I think it was very coherent.
And I will say, here's my thing. So, like Chris, I hate anime. And so when I got that intro, I was like, do I even want to do this podcast anymore? I was so mad. I was 100% on board with Ralsei being a fucking little hater. I hated this fucker so much at the start. I was tired of this fucker. I mean, obviously he's designed to be, I think, extremely hateable at the start. And his voice lines are fucking hilarious. It's my Girona. It's
The glue, the
glue.
glue
Hey
joke
guys,
is
I
like
found a glue.
that's such like an internal like transgender humor bit to change words for glue, like rhyming words for glue. That I was so happy when I heard it because that's like no one's ever defined that humor anywhere. But that's so that's
Get a
just such
chance.
transgender humor.
It's all.
I need all of his voice lines.
This is the most. There's a YouTube video of all the voice lines. It's delightful. This was very shitposty chapter. There's a lot of just straight up like kind of there's a lot of just very funny, totally lost at dialogue. The Floridans are hilarious. I like everybody kind of thought they were gonna be like just like cute little guys, but they're actually mega fucked up weird stoners, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. Who among us doesn't also want a hot game of boyfriend or girlfriend?
That's right. Yes, who among us doesn't want to swish their big fluffy fucking tail?
But swishing my big fluffy fucking tail, and like I have three different people I know have that as their Discord statuses right now.
And yeah, and also as someone who I really, I didn't want to get my hopes up too much just because trying to over-index what you're expecting from a chapter has always been like an easy way to set yourself up for disappointment. But I will admit, in my heart of hearts, I hoped we would get characters based on the 6 human souls. I hoped to goodness that the flowers would be important and that they would be characters that would shed some light on the, on the fallen humans or be, riffs on those archetypes. And I was so unbelievably pleased that we got that.
Mm-hmm.
I was so happy, and one of the reasons why I really love this chapter, it might be my favorite chapter, it might have surpassed chapter 2 for me, is just because the 6 mini bosses are so amazing. I think they're so fantastic. It was so great to get some more. Again, I think we talked about this in an earlier episode. I don't even remember which one, but like Deltarune has not been a major narrative significantly focused on the big characters from Undertale that got a lot of focus, right? What's actually, it feels like it's been a chance for lesser known or lesser seen characters from Undertale to shine. We saw Gerson in chapter 4, and now we're getting more detail on the flowers. The other human souls, the 6 human souls, and it's so great to see. I love them all. Obviously, you first see Aqua, who's what was previously called the Cyan Soul, but I guess we gotta call the Aqua Soul now. Who's a little knife gremlin, a little knife gremlin girl, who I love.
Love Aqua.
Yes, and I know I'm going to have X-Teen on again. We're going to probably talk about Toho, because there's a lot of Toho parallels with everything in this chapter, but especially Aqua. And also, a really hard fight, a really tough fight. I died, I think, 4 times to that fight.
I managed to get through it the first time, but I was on low health from like the second attack on, and I don't think I'd saved in a bit, so I was very scared. But I wasn't scared for long because then I saw Aqua's companion, who, to put it in the words of my friend and recent co-host Nolan, seems designed to bait many trans women.
Yes, they are just like me for real. I'm getting up close to the television screen and yelling. They're just like me for real.
The same. I listen. I love an incompetent self-styled genius character. It's not. Take notes, all listeners. It's not fun when the genius character is actually good at being a genius or good at being smart. They have to be bumbling and incompetent because real smart people are bumbling and incompetent. That's my experience. Anyway.
Yes, absolutely. And it's I don't know. Yeah, they're so funny. They're so cute with Aqua. Did you see if you get hit by Aqua's like shitty duck attack, they spin around with joy with Seth. It's adorable.
Oh,
And there's a, and I just, they're so great. And then you meet Yellow, who is, the personification of the Justice Soul. And I think genuinely one of the funniest gags in the game when the camera pans up and it reveals that they're going to the fucking killing myself room.
And then we get two profile horrified expressions of Rousey and Susie, complete with overworld sprites of those expressions that are never used again.
Incredible sprite work. One of my favorite sprites is when you're stealing the flowery dollars from the case from the chest, and there's the little animation in the corner of Susie taking the money, which is so great. This again, the sprite work just keeps the sprite work and the dialogue sprites, and both the dialogue and the overworld sprites of the characters just keep getting more detailed and expressive as the game goes on. It's really crazy comparing it with Chapter 1.
No, notably, okay, I can't tell if this is like a holdover from Chapter 1, but when Rousey had their hat back on, it's a very small tangent. Anyone will notice if you go to the level 5 descriptions, because every character goes up a level per chapter, that Rousey is now being referred to internally with they them pronouns.
Only after the interaction with Flowery, which we will get into next week, so we're not going to spend too much time. Next week is going to be all about this, so I don't want to take the wind out of the sails of next week. So just note that down and we'll move
on. But you'll notice that when Rousey has their hat back on, whenever they're mad, or in fact a lot of their sprites are crudely drawn, but when they're mad with their hat off, the sprites are somewhat normal again.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if that is now intentional.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about. And, also Rousey getting the hat back on, ostensibly to hide from Asgore, is something that was long theorized as a possibility. I mean, people thought it was going to happen in Chapter 3 to hide from Toriel, but of course Toriel slept through the whole fucking chapter like a bum. Meet potential mom. But Asgore was a much more. I'd previously said
raised.
Yeah, but I'd previously thought, that Asgore was not going to be. There was going to be a bit of a red herring that Asgore was not going to be a major factor in this chapter. Pleasantly surprised to be wrong. Asgore was, and this very much was a narrative about Asgore, like trying to learning to let go of his obsession with what happened in the past, with the mysterious event that happened in the past, which obviously we all know as listeners of a Deltarune podcast was Dessa's disappearance and, the first emergence of the night, which is, whatever exactly that was. We all knew that already. I think it's really important to keep in mind because I think one of the most common criticisms I heard of Chapter 5 was people disappointed that it didn't unveil everything, and it especially didn't progress a lot of the, core lore mysteries. It wasn't epic, image friend, phantasm, gaster medias. And people were disappointed about that. And I think it's really important to recognize that just because if you're listening to this podcast, and especially if you're listening to a Deltarune podcast that has gone for 30 episodes, you are the 1%. You are obsessed with this game and what's happening. But this game can't just be for that, and it can't assume that everybody's going to have a year of research between chapters. And so actually establishing in text that Asgore is firing from the police force and the downward spiral his life and his alienation from the family has been on is a result of the event that happened in the past regarding his initial discovery of Dark Worlds is an important thing to actually textually establish. And that is, that's something worth putting in a chapter all on its own. And of course it's interesting that, the whole Dark World is designed to try to comfort Asgore, or try to keep him in this simulacrum of having a family, having a loving relationship with his college guy best friend. Interesting, isn't it? Very, very interesting. This basic Flowery is sort of a Rudy analog in a lot of ways, it seems like. And designed to sort of create this comforting fantasy for him to keep him ensconced in darkness, instead of moving on with his life. And I think there's some parallels there with how Susie is acting, right?
Yeah, actually, yeah, especially because they are constantly trying to pull him away from anything that would potentially take him away from the Dark World as well. You know, like, and obviously there can be a passive pull for like for Susie where everybody wants her to be there, but no one's forcing Susie to be there. But here, they are sort of all but forcing Asgore to be here. You know, they're kind of manipulating him, kind of moving him around to try and keep him here as long as possible.
Yeah. And
And no, she got back.
yeah, and you know, this Dark World is also, it's very, you know, Flowery is very, very mechanically advanced. Flowery knows all the tricks. He's got all of, you know, because he's an analog of Flowey, right? You know, he's sort of like Flowey without the Azrael part. But like he's, you know, he's you know, he's incredibly strong. He's not playing by the rules. You know, he's got all the best stats, all the best attacks, all the solutions to all the puzzles. And is constantly sort of teasing Ralsei for holding back, or, you know, trying to get Ralsei not to hold back. It's very interesting. It's a, you know, in much the same way that Chapter 4 was, I think, a Susie-focused chapter. Chapter 5 is a Ralsei-focused chapter in a lot of ways. And, you know, feels like a similar exploration of what motivates him and how he needs to change to, you know, to become better, right? To you know, where the next path for his character is, what the choices that he needs to make ahead are. And I think that's I think it's very interesting. And Flowery also, I mean, and also as part of this, we get a very nonchalant reveal of, you know, the diegetic game elements in the Dark World, right? Flowery just tells Susie about it. She doesn't care. And Ralsei, you know, is like finally like coming clean about the, like, you know, the game menu elements in the Dark World. The fact that the Dark World is like a video game, which is the most casual, nonchalant confirmation of device theory ever. Molly Stars is the most vindicated and most literate, you know, Deltarune theory head of all time, because like, you know, the device layer is just correct. It was always correct, but like it's now pretty much extremely explicit that there's like basically like a software layer interface, not just for us, but for the characters in the Dark World.
Yeah, it's kind of actually odd now that well, I wouldn't say odd in any sort of, it's strange in a perceptive way that the scaling grids in the background, the two layers of scaling grids, are now somewhat diegetic.
Yeah.
In the battle of the background, in the background of the battles.
Yeah.
Because like after that conversation, I was like staring at the background, like, am I missing something? Has something been showing up here that I've just not been seeing?
Yeah. And you know,
yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely, you know, I mean, you know, in the, you know, back in Chapter 4, like Noelle mentions her dream, you know, the Chapter 2 Dark World being like a video game, you know, fighting enemies, and Susie was like, oh, I hadn't thought about that like that before, but it's very obviously what it is. And, you know, it's, I don't know, it's just interesting that it's explicit, that it's diegetic, but it's also interesting that it's subverted a bit as well in the, or, you know, the fact that we're playing a video game and we're controlling, you know, Chris, Susie, and Ralsei, you know, just like in Chapter 3, where Susie and Ralsei start moving on their own during the board segments, right, during the video game segments, and start feeling, you know, more alive and less like just party members in your RPG. In the final boss, if you try to fight Flowery, you know, Susie and Ralsei will take your command and attack once, and then they'll both decide on their own to heal Flowery and refuse to fight anymore. And so you can't choose the fight command for the rest of that final boss. And I just think that's mad interesting that they're outright disobeying your orders at that point.
Yeah, that is really interesting. See, I didn't try to do that. But it does remind me of something that comes up a few times in this chapter, which is that Chris seems a lot less willing to think about what other people are doing. In my playthrough, I decided to rarely not be a pervert and let them have their private time, and have just Chris sort of just wait. But it seems like if you actually try to think about other people, sometimes Chris will just not do it.
Yeah.
Like Chris will just say, like, it will just say, you try to think about them, but you don't, or something. I think something equivalent to that.
Yeah, it's true.
really interesting after the reveal last chapter that Chris is actually up to stuff during that and seems to actively push us to think about other people, so that Chris can do stuff. And also considering that Rousey outright interrupts our ability to do so.
Yeah. And yeah, and and of course there's like, just like in previous chapters, there's choices about whether to have like one-on-one hangout scenes with Susie and Ralsei. And it is interesting because you don't get to close your eyes and think about the other this time, right? It's like, you don't get to spy on Susie either because of what Chris wants, or, in the light world, or because Ralsei is like, actually, what if you don't go think about Susie right now and talk to me instead? Ralsei is getting more assertive as well. And okay, look, listener, I picked both Ralsei scenes on my first playthrough. I wanted to see the Ralsei scenes. I'm a Ralsei lover, and so I was very pleased with this chapter. I cares Ralsei so much, and I think the relationship between Chris and Ralsei is so interesting, and the fact that it's clearer than ever now that Ralsei does know what's going on. Like, Ralsei knows that Chris is opening these fountains. Yeah. Ralsei knows that Chris has an ulterior motive and a plan that is, that is morally ambiguous or even outright wrong. And again, I can't control F the exact lines right now, but they're like, even if they don't understand what Chris is doing, they're still supporting them. And I think that's...
It seems like Rousey is also... Sorry, not to interrupt, but it also seems like Rousey is very aware of the player-Chris dynamic, in the sense that it seems like Rousey is talking specifically to Chris and is trying to word what they're saying, so, like, in the sense that Chris, the character, will pick up on it, but the player will not it won't necessarily reveal to the player unless they already know. Like, Rousey is trying to protect Chris from the consequences of these actions, like, from us finding out, basically. Similarly to how Chris is trying to stop us from finding out the code.
And, I'd been sort of on that train of of understanding, of Ralsei understanding the Chris dichotomy, the fact that Chris is being observed, from all the way back in chapter 1, the very first time you're asked to close your eyes and think of Susie. When you cut back, Ralsei has been talking to Chris and saying, and that's why, okay, Chris, they've been talking to each other without your eye, and it feels like it's on purpose that there was that, I don't know. I think from the very beginning, Ralsei has known something is up.
Definitely. And I think Rousey, as of like chapter 3, maybe chapter 4, has sort of realized that they hold power within themselves, potentially, to avert things, that they have to act themselves. And that seems to be what is prompting Rousey to try and act of their own accord a bit more. And we can see that Rousey is acting a lot more of their own accord, because Rousey's room's now decorated by Rousey, showing that Rousey is like starting to have a real developed sense of interiority.
Haha, you eat food when you're hungry.
Exactly, yeah. And it's really nice to see, first of all, after the last chapter, the idea that Rousey is now asserting some degree of insanity, and recognizing the value that they hold. But it's also, I suppose, making me worry, because obviously Rousey is now keeping stuff from us that they're sharing a lot of with Chris, the character. And it's really hard. It's quite hard to think about. Like, it's quite hard to piece together, at least for me right now, what exactly that dynamic is. If that's like a caretaking role, like trying to stop Chris from doing something wrong, or if that's like trying to like coordinate with Chris about something, because it has to be something that Rousey doesn't want us to know, right?
Yeah.
So what would that be at this point?
Yeah. It's so not, it's that is one of the biggest ongoing ambiguities, is trying to understand what Ralsei's deal is. And so that's something definitely to keep an eye on. What else do I want to cover here? I mean, there's I want to talk a little bit about the other flowers just to make sure we get them in here. I mean, Blue is so
Yeah.
great. Blue is so sweet, and another sort of mentor figure to Susie. I it's very sweet, and also they're very, I don't know, he's a great character. It's great to have a character that is like visibly, like a human, looks like a human, and is visibly black in this game too. I think that's awesome. um
Yeah.
and it's funny that there's such a wide variance in appearances between how well they're doing at pretending to be human or not. Because yellow pretty humany, Aqua, Seth, and Blue doing a good job, and then Orange is a fucking mouse.
Is a mouse. Yeah. I mean, I love that Blue and Yellow are just before we move on from them. I love that they're dating. I love the idea of
Oh yeah,
justice and integrity.
yeah,
Like
absolutely.
yeah, love beautiful poetry there, Mr. Tony.
Yeah.
Um, I'd love to, if we can, talk a little bit about our extra color, pink.
Yes, and we're gonna
Uh,
talk a lot about Pink next week, so I don't want to get too much into it. But obviously, out of all the characters I most wanted to see from Undertale in Deltarune, and was not holding out a lot of hope that we'd get much more in, I was so pleased that Maddie's in the picture. Maddie's getting in the game, baby.
And I love that, again, I don't want to take too much from next week, but I love that this was such a very meaningful fight, like a very sort of thematically meaningful to both the themes of the chapter in terms of love and to Mad Mew Mew's character coming in from Undertale into now. This is probably, like, barring the night, my favorite secret boss
Yeah,
of all of them, mostly because I think this is the most meaningful one. Like the
yeah,
most, it has the most going on in terms of like what you can analyze and read into it,
yeah.
and it's just a really fun fight. Vocaloid's here, dude. Hatsune Miku is here.
Yes, it's true. The song's amazing. The song's absolutely incredible. Probably the best secret boss theme so far, and that's a pretty high bar to clear because the world revolving, big shot,
Black Knight.
the Black Knife,
Yeah.
or burn, or if you're one of the people who's like, but the ERM's the secret boss, Burning Eyes, and Hammer of Justice are all absolutely incredible tracks, but this one's the best by far.
It's crazy, yeah, yeah. Really,
Also,
really love it. Really
gameplay
love
wise,
Mad Mew on this.
I mean, okay, overall, I actually do want to talk about this. Gameplay wise, this is the best chapter by a mile. I mean,
Yes.
there's so many
Yes.
incredibly inventive fights, like a billion mechanics in the fights, and the whole platforming segment feels so good. And it's so, the stage transformation of like Super Paper Mario is just so sick. And it looks and feels so good, and I was blown away by how good this chapter felt to play. I was just like going around, yesterday collecting more pink coins for equipment, and I'm just blown away by how fun it is to just fucking jump around and slash your sword and use the axe to make platforms and everything. It just feels so good.
It's really, yeah, it feels really nice. I think like regardless of how you feel about the writing or the character, blah blah blah, you can agree that this is probably the most mechanically or strongest gameplay wise strongest chapter of so far. Just there are so many, in addition to the action platformer shift. There's also so many tiny mechanics that just show up for a little bit and then go away. So many like battle mechanics, which I mean, no, not too much of a surprise because Deltarune loves to introduce a mechanic for about like a minute or two and then never show it again.
Yeah,
But my God, we got 6 different unique mechanics per boss.
it's so
Just for these
crazy.
characters. And then we got Mambimu, and then we have the Flowery fight, which is integrating multiple ones at the same time and having them like cross pollinate. I think likely set up by the Trash Trio at the start, doing basically the same thing.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. I did that target get mini game for about an hour straight trying to get the sub 8 seconds. Probably not an hour, probably like half an hour, but like trying to get sub 8 seconds, and it's just so fun to bounce around and try and like get Susie on the ones you're missing, like plan out a route. Oh man, action platformers.
It's so good, and it definitely made me want to play as Chris in a platform fighter. Like, so I know there's a mod for Rivals of Ether that will do it, but it just felt so good to play. You know, it's great, like kind of like Kirby Sword gameplay a little bit too. Just so good.
Yes, actually, really reminded me of Kirby Sword gameplay specifically.
Yeah. Just great game feel, and I was posting about this yesterday, but it's also just made me think like how, I don't know, how great it is to think about the fact that there's this team has been put together, you know, with Toby as director, but also just a great team of developers and artists and additional musicians too. And thinking about the fact that they're able to make these games with all these incredibly great feeling mechanics, and we've already heard that they're going to stick together, that, Toby's sort of putting a team together for things beyond Deltarune. And I'm just thinking about all the incredible games we're going to get in the future. It fills me with hope to think about the fact that we're at the start of a truly, not just Deltarune, we're halfway through, we're more than halfway through Deltarune now, but we're just at the start of like an incredible studio and an incredible team and career. And just thinking like, I can't wait to play whatever the hell is happening from this studio forever.
Yeah, like an incredibly influential team. Like being somebody who regularly checks in with game dev, well, not game dev Twitter anymore. Sorry, game dev Blue Sky. That you get quite a few people say, "Oh, this is what I did on Deltarune," and the like. And it's very strange actually to see many people on a game's team. I mean, it's not strange to see people working on a game being very proud of their work, but it is strange to see them not being run into the ground.
Yeah.
It's not very, not a very easy industry to work within. But it seems like everybody who works on this thing loves it,
Yeah.
which is lovely.
Absolutely. And just what a game. What a great game. And so I think now I think it's time to talk about the ending. So the knight shows up, kidnaps Asgore. Again, whatever Chris is doing is incredibly serious because they're putting their own father in danger for it, right? On purpose.
Mm-hmm.
It's difficult for me to comprehend what the leverage over Chris is or what the guilt that Chris is having. It's so big that they're willing to do this, even though it's clearly hurting them. And we get to see our good friend, the Roaring Knight, again for a little bit, take Asgore away, and the escalating seriousness of that causes just a heartbreaking ending, just a really, really difficult ending where Susie says, I know this has been this thing just between us. This has been the Chris and Susie thing, but we have to get Noelle in. It's too serious now. And it's just, and then the door to the dark world closes and Chris is just left standing there dejectedly, all alone, as Susie is showered in love from the Darkners and preparing, Castletown for Noelle's arrival, and Chris is just standing there all by himself.
Yeah, I mean, just before we move past it, I think it's notable to mention that it seems like the knight is specifically going after members of the police force.
Yeah.
Because we can actually recall back in Chapter 3 that Toriel called Undyne ahead of the Dark World. And it seems like Chris slashing those tires may have been to bait that into happening.
Yeah.
And so now that Undyne's gone, and it seems like Asgore's gone, we're finding all of these members of the police force getting disappeared, and it seems like it may even, at least this is my sort of pet speculation, be the police officers involved in Dessa's disappearance.
Yeah.
At the very least ones who could talk about it. And the fact that Chris is seemingly setting these up to happen is interesting.
Yeah, very, very
I don't know how
interesting.
to feel about that. Sometimes I'm a little scared that the only reason Chris is doing this is to have adventures in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, that is interesting. I mean, it does feel like that's definitely an ulterior motive, but there's I don't know, there's something going on here. I think that if I had to make a prediction, my prediction is that the next Dark World would be in the Holiday House. It would be the Ice Palace that we have been, that has been foreshadowed. And that the Knight will come into direct conflict with Carol next. That's just my guess for where this is heading, because she's the next authority figure in the town who is connected with and has knowledge of the shelter, right? And that seems to me like where we're going next, especially since Susie's decision to want to bring Noelle in is, because Noelle is closer to the codes. And let me tell you, there's some writing on the wall for me where I wonder if this might not go so great. Just some thoughts. I just feel like that I don't know. I just think that Susie and Noelle, it's a little obviously look, the scenes we've gotten are incredibly sweet, but I do wonder if it's like, Rudy is dead or dying, right? And Susie is going to go and be like, hey, I was lying to you. Your dream was real. Do you want to come live in a closet and have adventures? By the way, I'm doing this because I'm using you to get close to your, get close to your mom's secrets. And it's just, it all feels like it could get really messy. And there's one thing that I really, that made me really think about that too, which is that, at the festival with Pizza Pants, if you have Blue Ears, if you have an ice cream guy, Blue Ears, tell Pizza Pants the truth about what's happening. Like, he has a total breakdown. He yells at Blue Ears for it. It's all a pain. And then you go talk to Milk Looker, and he talks about how, it was painful, but it might be necessary for things to end well. And I just think,
if you're a loser,
and I just think that might be, I just think that might be a little bit of farcical foreshadowing. This is one of my most common ideas, is that Deltarune, whether it's via rules or Milk Looker or whatever, is like constantly using farcical comedy elements to foreshadow more serious beats ahead. Like Triple Trucy's foreshadowing the complicated relationship between the various, conspirators and attempted mystery solvers.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, when we were having that conversation, Chris and Susie were having that conversation, and Susie says, like, we need to bring other people into this. I was like, okay, that's reasonable. She said, we need to bring Noelle into this. I was like, oh, fuck. Oh, no, the one ending is still real.
Yeah.
That no matter what happens, Noelle will be involved, and that's all gonna happen anyway. I was just like sitting there, just sort of with my head in my hands, like, oh fuck, this is good.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Yeah. Well, I think that brings our initial reactions to a conclusion. We have got episodes lined up weekly for a number of weeks now, so we're gonna get in there and we're gonna tear apart Chapter 5 for sure. Thank you for joining us for Season 2. Elsie, thank you for coming on to kick off our initial reactions. And anything you want to say to wrap up? Anything you want to plug or either?
Yeah, I guess the only thing I have to plug is I'm excited for Chapter 6 where we find out that Des is human.
I will kill you with a knife.
We're gonna have a podcast episode about this at some point.
Look, I mean, there's still fucking Rudy Nighters out there. So fucking, apparently no theory is dumb enough to ever be fucking ruled out in this goddamn fandom.
She has human shoes in her closet.
They're fit for hooves! The flavor text says they're fit for hooves, you dumbass!
Only one of them are!
Oh my god, yeah! My fucking red herring pair of shoes, for some reason. Fuck off. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody.
It's Survey Program. Chip in some fundage at groupofshrike.net. Or don't. Subscribe on YouTube. Or don't. Join the Discord. Or don't. Check out Highwell on Bandcamp. You don't have an option not to do this one. Bye.
Group Strike Amalgamated General Productions GmbH.